I'll just message him. While we wait for Surya to join, I'll, I'll probably talk a little bit about his WBC. Uh, oh, he seems to have lost the link. Okay, hopefully, he should be able to join now. I just shared the link with him. So yes, as I was saying, so Suryasagar did fight for the WBC Muay Thai title fight in India, and he became the first WBC Muay Thai India champion. And that was a fight we were very excited about. Uh, we did have to search quite a bit for a good opponent because we knew Suryasagar was very, very strong as an athlete. And we had a few dropouts. Oh, Surya's about to be back. Yeah, welcome back, Surya.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, I was just while you were offline, I was just talking to people about your WBC Muay Thai India title fight, and how it went for us. So when we got in touch with you and we realized you were willing to fight for the WBC Muay Thai India title, we had to look really hard to get a good opponent for you because we knew you were strong, but we were unable to find a suitable opponent at that time. I think the only real person initially in our minds was Anil Mehta, but we were unable to get in touch with him or get secure a deal with him to fight you at that stage. But we got Basavesh to fight you, and we thought it'll be a close fight, or at least it'll go a few rounds. But you just breezed through that first few seconds. So could you just run me through your process, your mindset, and how the fight went for you?
See, actually, to be honest, like I knew that, but for me, Basvesh was not my level.
Hmm.
But I just had to finish the game because I just didn't want to take too much time. I just wanted to. I didn't know that he would go down so fast because I was in that adrenaline rush and I just went in and I just started and it just ended up pretty fast. But I really wanted to fight Kaushik Sai Kumar, who's from
Uh-huh.
Combat Kinetic, because he's really good as striker. And
Right.
that would have been a very good fight for me because he's good, I'm good. And it would have been a 5 round fight
Hmm.
which would have taken on a very long run. And I would have loved to fight that guy because he's good and he's got a very good striking setup. Because as I see, everyone is based as MMA fighters right now. We don't have a lot of strikers who
Hmm.
are completely into Muay Thai, but he's from a K1 or let's say Muay Thai background. But I think I really wanted to fight him, but I think he had a COVID issue which happened, I think, in the second wave. And
Yes.
when you mentioned that he's not able to fight, I was like, no, this is not happening. Because to show what is Muay Thai, I think the quick fight, what happened with the WBC fight, I think it ended pretty quick because we could not showcase what we really wanted to showcase of the fight. And
Right.
I think, if there was someone with a, really good match for me, if I had fought really well, I think we could have showcased a lot of stuff in that fight. And I think,
Right.
it would have been a very good fight for and an entertaining fight for a lot of people back by then.
Right. So yeah, Kaushik Sai Kumar, we did talk to his coach Ajit Singamani, and there was interest from all sides that yes, this fight will happen. But like you said, unfortunately, before we could even get into the other details, he had COVID issues. So although he had recovered, they were not sure he would have you know the full recovery in terms of cardio
Yes.
because back then we didn't even know what happens after COVID
Yes.
infection, right? And we were in that stage at that point of time. So did not nobody wanted to take that risk because the last thing we want is for such a talented athlete to come in the ring and
Yes.
collapse and something bad to happen to him out there. So
Definitely.
uh, yeah, but yeah, you breeze through that fight is what I would say, and I think you caught him. I don't think he expected you to come right out of the gate so aggressively and throw those elbows because I think within the first 10-15 seconds, there were a couple of elbows landed right on his temple. So
The
was
I
that
think the
game
very
plan?
first the
Yeah.
very first like I just moved in. I didn't even take time. I just went in and I just started punching in.
Hmm.
And the one thing I remember is he goes down right after I connect him with a sorry, cross and a left hook, and he goes down. He came back up, and
Yeah.
I just kept rushing in because in Thailand used to more fighting in the 3 round fight, and they
Right.
always push us forward, so there's
Hmm.
no taking time like a 5 round fight at all.
Right.
So I was in that mindset because
Hmm.
I was not used to going 5 rounds slow pace. And of
Right.
course, a lot of fighters here, the main reason why I immediately flushed out was people don't really fight the Muay Thai style in India. They don't
Right.
take the time, because Thai boxing is not just about fighting, it's about showcasing the art, like
Yes.
showcasing your eight limbs, showcasing how can you stand and really evade shots, how can you like defend and get back, how can you kick. There's so many aspects to that game, and I knew one thing, that was here people don't really get to the art form. And if I
Hmm.
did put very slow, I knew that these guys are going to rush in. And as
Right.
you know that, like, when an elite, like really good fighters are fighting each other, it's going to be a
Hmm.
technical fight. But
Right.
let's say if I'm fighting a brawler, there are times that they might throw something, an unorthodox move, which you might have not really anticipated it, and
Right.
you might get caught. So I
Right.
didn't want to take any risks of taking slow pace fights at all. So I just went in and I had to do whatever the job was there, because I was used to going 3 rounds in a very fast pace. And I
Right.
knew his punches are going to come in a very weird way. So
Hmm.
I made sure I just keep hitting no matter what I get hit with.
Right. And this is a very interesting point to bring up because, styles make matches. And a lot of times when you fight other elite fighters, when you reach a level where you're an elite fighter, typically most of your strikes are kind of known to each other. And you can test each other out and you know what to expect. But with brawlers or people who don't really have a style per se, a random overhand comes in and you go down and you're like, how the hell did that even come in? So yeah, you're right. I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't even think of that aspect. But yeah, that is that's actually very true. And you're right.
Yes.
You were possibly at a big risk of that when you were facing Baswage because he's not a traditional Muay Thai fighter. So you're right. Yeah.
But
Uh,
he's a senior fighter to me because he's been fighting longer than me, and he's
right.
been fighting from a long time. And
Mhm.
I just knew that the style was a little different to what I fight. And
Mhm.
when you said, especially with the point of brawling guys, I've seen so many good guys go down
Right.
when an unknown punch comes in, because a lot of people, like a lot of brawlers, throw their head down and throw their hands wide open. And I
Yeah.
think people don't really anticipate it, because especially elite fighters, we have been conditioned to see jab cross hooks and stuff like that. But
Right.
when you throw haywire punches, I don't think a lot of people can see it now, neither are they used to it. Because when you take street fighting and real fighting, it's, I think, a
Mhm.
very different thing, because street fighting goes down very quick in a very fast motion, and you
Yes.
can't take and set your rhythm up to match up to that situation.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. And that's what brawlers do. Brawlers think everything is a street fight. So it doesn't matter whether it's a MMA fight, Muay Thai fight, whatever. They're gonna fight as if it's a open street fight. So yeah, you're
Yes.
absolutely right about that. So yeah, the one thing you brought up was the art form, right? And in Thailand, it's more of a culture. And although everything is said, everybody comes in with their and they do their Vaikru and then they have the fight. But every fighter also kind of makes it their own, and they use those specific what do you say traditions that they have, but they make it their own to make sure they overwhelm the opponent psychologically if they can. And to be honest, when you did your Vaikru, although it was very entertaining, I could see the entire moment that you did your Vaikru, Basavesh seemed to be getting more and more nervous because that anticipation of waiting for the fight to start, I think that probably got to him. It was my interpretation from outside. Is that something intentional that you do, or is it just and you are just doing what you normally do?
So I think when you brought this up as like a culture, the craziest part is I think it's going to be a little controversial topic.
Hmm.
Thailand has kept this art form, not just Thailand. If you take Myanmar, Thailand, Indonesia, Cambodia,
Hmm.
Muay Thai has been there from a long time. But the craziest part is the ancient style of Muay Thai is Muay Boran.
Right.
And Muay Boran techniques, like the names of the techniques, are all related to Hindu mythology deities. And
Hmm.
it is based on the Ramayana story.
Right.
And I think there was a huge cross culture exchange which happened. Let's say in the Chola dynasty had taken down till the Southeast Asia, and even you can still see today the Vatana temple, and there's so many like the Sanatan Dharma influence on
Hmm.
the Southeast Asia. Even till date, they still do follow. Of course, they're all Buddhist followers right now, but even in their Buddhist culture, they still follow the Ramayana story. They call it Ramkeen. And
Yes.
when you say Vaikru is basically there's another name for it called Rammoy,
Hmm.
and they have so many aspects. This is just one aspect of it. Vaikru and Rammoy is actually a ritual. We do it before the fight to
Right.
seal the ring. We seal the ring on the four corners, and we pay respects to our ancestors, our parents, our teachers, and people who have really supported us. And
Right.
it's like, you know, like normal, like it's like a sealing procedure we do. That's just one aspect. And I think it's not some, of course, it takes on a person psychologically because people are not used to it. Because once they get
Yes.
inside the ring, they immediately take, okay, corners in, you get, and you start fighting. But I think this aspect of it brings in so much into the sport because it does not only have to be like we are fighting. It's something to do with like showcasing the art form of what we have done. It's like Bharatanatyam dance. You take respects and you do your form. And I
Right.
think this is one of the aspects. And I definitely know this that when you said this, it the person in the corner gets a little nervous. It
Hmm.
does because it kind of cools him down if he does not know the ritual or the way of what we are doing. It
Hmm.
kind of gets on the nerve and he's like, hey, come on man, what the hell is this dance, why you
Right.
want to do this? Of course a lot of people there also were like, I think he's just showboarding the place or like just showcasing something. But I would like to tell that it's showcasing one, but also a cultural ritual. We have to do it. And I think as Indians, we have lost the art form. There's so many things we have lost through years and years of invasions, and we have lost so much of knowledge. And I think r- Thai boxing and Muay Thai was part, like, can still be a part of Indian culture. Like guys like me and Anil Mehta, and there's so many other Indian fighters who are fighting there, can bring
Hmm.
it back and kind of bring it into the state of mind like, hey, this is also a part of our culture, just like Kalaripaito in Kerala. And
Right.
there's so much we've lost, and I think it gives me the opportunity to bring back something which is lost thousands of years ago.
Right.
And I would really like to thank Thailand and Southeast Asia because they were able to keep that art form thriving, and it's their national sport. And I
Right.
know I'm really glad to be born and brought up in this time right now because it gives me, I don't know, it kind of connects me because I'm from India, and I was completely different from people, and I to get back into the roots of my culture because we've been uprooted out of our culture. We
Hmm.
really don't have a base of where we
Right.
are, what we are, and why are we here. But this whole journey gives me the opportunity to really connect back to our culture, to see how thriving India was back then.
Right.
And it also shows us that there was so much in our country which was lost, and other countries are utilizing it and
Right.
they're benefiting it out of it. And there's nothing wrong about it because it brings back to us again.
Right. Absolutely. No, and I'm glad you brought this up. And You said it may be controversial. It is not controversial. It is the statement of fact. It's what you're observing out there. In fact, even the name, Ayutthaya is what the kingdom of Thailand used to be called, and Ayutthaya is nothing but the Thai word for Ayodhya in the ancient times.
Yes,
And for those who don't know, right, every king of Thailand is called King Rama once they're
yes,
crowned,
yes. I wanted to come
and
there because,
yeah,
and even if you, let's say,
Mhm,
uh, uh, good morning in
mhm.
Thai is Arun Savadi.
Oh wow, okay,
So Arun basically means sun.
son, yeah,
So it's like good morning, Arun Savadi. And in Kannada, in the Karnataka language, we call, they call in Thai, which is called uh, Rat, Rati Savadi. So there's a little change to it, but
Mhm,
Ratri
mhm.
we call in Kannada is night. Ratri.
Right, Mhm,
Ratri is night. And it
right,
sounds so much similar to what they say Ratri Sabadi means good night. And there's so much influence there, not just from Kannada, there's so much influence of Tamil. And I think there were so many reels where a Tamil guy would trying to ask, he would mention a Tamil word, and
Mhm,
the Thai schoolgirl would tell the same thing in Thai,
right,
but it kind of has the same correlation and it
Mhm,
is pretty similar. And I think a lot of people don't know about this, neither are they interested about it. Not interested, but we have not been taught about it in our schools, because
right,
our history, there's nothing wrong about it, but our history goes about Mughals, British, the First World War, Second World War, and
Mhm,
independence of India, but they
right,
never went in depth of the cultural things of the country. There's
Mhm,
so many kings, so much which have come and gone, which are not mentioned in our school and our curriculum.
right. No, absolutely, and Thailand is just one small example, like you mentioned. There are hundreds just in South Asia, Southeast Asia. If you go to see, that's how far influence was back in the day. And yeah, martial arts is and we everybody knows about the kung fu journey from India up
Yes,
north.
Bodhidharma.
Yeah, but the Muay Thai journey, very few people talk about because again that was never in the limelight, but it should be because that again traces back all the way here. Uh, yeah, in fact, I hope during the we have a lot of most part of the country have either very big Dasara celebrations or have very big Diwali celebrations where they have the stories of the Ramayana in the north, etc. And I hope some of these events start getting Muay Thai into those celebrations as well because it's a very important part of the culture, and bringing it back just showcases how diverse and how much of an influence this has over the world. So I really
Yes,
hope we get to that at some point of time.
definitely. I think guy like, of course, MMA is a big scene right now in India. People are
Yeah,
more focused on MMA, and
right,
where I've also fought my one MMA fight, but I'm very much keen on sticking to Muay Thai. It's not a very big thing in India
right,
because even professional fighters are not getting paid because it's not an easy thing to get funded for it. Neither can the
right,
promoters fund it for it because there has to be a good sum of money moving around.
right.
And it's not a big thing, but I think guys like me and there's so many Indian fighters who are fighting in Thailand get to
Hmm.
fight in big stages and fight big guys,
Right.
and it gets advertised and kind of spreads out in Thailand. It gives
Hmm.
the opportunity to the people, not just Thailand, but throughout the world.
Hmm.
We can show that Indian fighters are not just fighters, just for the sake
Right,
of it. Because
right.
there are not many fighters, Indian fighters especially with now MMA is big, but Muay Thai not many. Let's take one championship right now. There was only one Muay Thai fight who fought like uh, I think that was the women's category. That was uh, what was her name? No. Puja Toma.
Puja
Puja
Toma,
Toma versus
yes,
B. So that was
yes.
the only Indian Muay Thai fight which ever happened at one.
Hmm.
And as you see, there is no one fighter, no Indian Muay Thai fighter fighting in one.
Yes, right.
And I think not just one. Let's keep in general the big stadiums. not many people have entered the big stadiums in Thailand.
No.
Definitely now there are so many fighters from other countries who are actually Indian origin, but
Right.
they have represented their country and fought in Rajadamnam Stadium and
Hmm.
Lumpini Stadium. Abhimanyu
Right.
Thakur is, I think, one of the underdogs whose name has not come out so much. Like he's fought in Lumpini, he's fought in the prime time of Lumpini, he's fought
Right.
good guys, he's fought at Rajadamnam, but not many. I think very few people. Like I think I don't want to boast myself, but I got the opportunity to fight in Rajadamnam Stadium and get a win for the country. And
Right.
I don't know. I right now I'm the first Indian to win at the Rajadamnam Stadium. Not just
Hmm.
one fight. There was two fights. One was at the normal show, and the other one was at RWS, the Rajadamnam World Series, which is
Right.
not telecasted on the television because it was the very first bout, and apparently the first two fights would not come up on the television. And I was
Right.
really heartbroken about it. And I, thank God, got a clip on the LED screen of the Rajadamnam World Series promotion. And
Right.
I'm not gonna say, and I'm not saying that this is the last, because this is just
Hmm.
the beginning. And I think the only problem here is I think there is not so much support for the sport, especially
Right.
when it comes to Muay Thai. Like right now, I myself have an Instagram, but I never utilize Instagram in the right way, like how influencers are using it right now. Now I get a bigger picture of how to use Instagram because there's
Hmm.
so many guys, intermediate guys, utilizing YouTube and Instagram in such a way they're getting the opportunity to become an influencer,
Right.
which I didn't utilize. And I think the major setback is sponsors for this sport.
Hmm.
My parents could help me out for a certain point of time,
Hmm.
but I think it's high time for me to do something for myself. But I don't want to open up a gym and stay here and get stuck here. Of course, I would love to teach people, but I feel that I will lose my potential to
Hmm.
mark the Muay Thai scene throughout the international circuit there
Right.
if I sit here and start opening up a gym and I stay here. And I
Right.
feel after, especially the COVID time, I lost so much time. And the recent trip I went, I had a couple of injuries, which
Hmm.
I did not get the opportunity to fight one fight each month. So basically, every fighter like
Right.
who comes down there fights every month. We have to fight
Right.
every month, and
Hmm.
that's how our record kind of grows up. And the last my last trip to Thailand, I got the opportunity to spend there for 6 months because I
Hmm.
could get a COVID extension, but I got to fight only two fights, and I was really really heartbroken about it. And I could not put out what I trained 3 years non-stop. Even with the WBC thing, when it got postponed, I did
Hmm.
not stop training. I had to push
Right.
myself, and that was the point where I actually understood that I should not overtrain. And I overtrained so much for the non-stop 3 years.
Hmm.
My body started to give up because I went to Phuket. I was at Phuket Fight Club and I was sparring, and the third day, and one of the sparring sessions went really bad where we were boxing and this guy got really overwhelmed, and he elbows me in the face, and I
Oh,
get a huge break on my nose,
hmm.
and they said I can't train or fight for the next 2 months.
Wow.
I could not clinch, I could not spar, and
Right.
it was really heartbreaking for me. But then I had to go back to my the gym in the Sitmonchai gym. The first thing I did was a break of a month. I had to relax myself.
Hmm.
Just saying relax, but I really did not relax because I was so much stuck with this mindset of I have to train, I have to keep myself in a very good shape. When I went to Kopangan, I was in Diamond Muay Thai and I kept training. My body just gave up. I got Achilles tendonitis and
Uh,
could not really push myself. I had so much happening at that time where,
hmm.
I could not put my full potential out.
Right. Right.
And after
So,
that, I had to, like, I thought I'm going back home, but
uh-huh.
glad to my girlfriend. So she's from Germany. She came down from Germany at that right time. And she
Hmm.
said, stay back. It's fine. You can at least stay and train, do something. So
Hmm.
glad because of her, I could stay there and
Hmm.
stay for a longer time because I got to stay there for 5 more months extra
Okay.
because of the COVID run and everything. And I think that
Right.
was the point where I could go back to Sitmon Chai Gym. And big thanks to Sitmon Chai Gym because they were the ones to see my potential and give me like fights in big stadiums where not many fighters get the opportunity, especially being an Indian fighter.
Hmm.
Let's say, let's keep the Muay Thai scene is happening from a very long time, but
Right.
not a single Indian fighter has made name in those circuits, not just in Thailand but an international circuit.
Right.
Very few people, even if people have made name from India, they never got the opportunity to put it out. They never got the opportunity to put it out to the public because
Right.
there were not many people interested about it.
Right.
And to the people who made name, I think it's high time you come out right now and tell yourself your achievements, because so many, not just Muay Thai fighters, MMA fighters, there's so many boxers out there today who
Hmm.
have won gold for the country, but selling vegetables, selling fruits, doing labor work, and
Hmm.
they feel that they all did that for no reason. And I think it's high time that Indian government really sees Indian talented fighters, in not just fighters, in every sport. There's so much. And I think the Indian circuit, like the Indian circuit, not Indian circuit, but the Indian athletes in an international circuit is very few. Very
Right.
few fighters and very few athletes are making name out of India for the
Hmm.
country, putting their lives, putting everything, but the government is not supporting them. I think it's high time the government sees. Let's say the soccer scene right now.
Right.
I forgot his name. Sunil
Sunil
Chetri.
Chetri.
Sunil
Yes.
Chetri. Yes, Sunil Chetri has made name because he's one of the three guys now who are like on the rankings with Ronaldo and Messi.
Yeah, the top
And
active goal scorers in the world. Top three.
yeah,
You're right.
and
Yeah.
he's just one of them. And there's so many footballers, so many
Mm.
basketball players, so many skaters. Name what? There's so many guys who made so much for the country but never get to shine.
Right. And this is something, I have this thing in me about Indian athletes as well, because you're one of the athletes who does put yourself out there, and you are very confident about what you've done, what you achieved. And even when you lose, you're okay with it. And you say that I gave my best and I did perform to the best of my ability. A lot of Indian athletes, even if they do well out there, and we have this upbringing in India that be humble, don't talk about your achievements, don't brag, which is fine, but it doesn't work in the world of sports, in the world of athletes. Like if you look at the US right now, they have the local leagues called the NBA league, right? National Basketball.
Yes, yes,
When they win their domestic league, they call themselves world champions, which is ridiculous. But that's how they market themselves. That's how they believe themselves to be. That's how they position themselves, and that's how they
yes.
market and make their
And
sponsorship, make their
one
money.
one thing to say is
Hmm.
they call themselves world champions domestically, but they believe and they put out that effort and they have the potential and they are doing it. It's not that they're
Yeah,
not doing it. But
right.
the the reason why I'm saying this is there are so, especially in India,
Hmm.
now that the MMA, Muay Thai, boxing scene is becoming big, there are so many fighters. Not, let's not say fighters. They've not even fought a couple of good fights. It's not that I'm trying to brag, but there are so many people trying to fool other people in the name of combat sports
Hmm.
and trying to make money out of it. But the person there who's going and learning there
Hmm.
will not get the real deal, neither will they get the real experience of the combat sport or any discipline on what they're doing. And they get caught up in all of the politics inside of it, and
Hmm.
they never get to grow. And I think so many fighters have gotten stuck in this situation when it comes to associations and when it comes to the association head, president, whatever. They
Right.
have so many quarrels and they don't get the opportunity to. Those people, fine, it's up to them. But the
Right.
athletes are going to suffer so much because
Hmm.
each or the other association does not like each other. and they cannot participate in that fight or this fight, and which is
Right.
nonsense, because the athletes have to suffer about it. And
Right.
let's not say only Muay Thai, MMA. I'm saying anything. When it comes to cricket, when it comes to boxing, when it comes to archery, there's so many things happening here. It's like a cold war happening, a civil war happening within ourselves,
Right.
not able to grow ourselves up. And I think this has to reach out to people and the heads of these organizations to really improve the game, not just for the sake of the money or just for the sake of getting themselves a name, but give a name under them for the sport.
Right. So, this is this. Here's my take about this. And that's what I've observed in the US. Like, US is a purely capitalist country, right? If there's money and it's legal, it will be allowed. Which is why sports does so well out here. We've got multiple leagues, even in football. Although the NFL is the biggest league, we have XFL and the other, football leagues, the one which The Rock owns. And there are multiple ways for professional athletes to make money. You are not part of the NFL, that's fine. The XFL may pick you up from college, and you make money out there, uh, which is how it should be, because it's an athlete's profession, right? And yes, it's not all the time that you may be able to fight at the highest level, but there should be levels to the game. There should be alternatives to the game.
Yes.
In India, unfortunately, because and this is, to be, I may be wrong, but in my opinion, it's a throwback to the old karate days. Because when I grew up, the only real martial art that was really, really big in India was karate. Every second school had a karate academy, and every karate academy would be under a specific coach. And they've grown up with this thing that, if we are part of one organization, we should only be part of that. And a lot of people who came out of that, and they are the ones who are now running MMA or even parts of Muay Thai or the other combat sports. And the same mentality has come in, which should not, because once you turn professional in Muay Thai or boxing or MMA, you should fight wherever there's money and wherever you get an opportunity. So I won't comment on soccer, on football and cricket for now, because they have their own set of problems, and I don't even understand it or want to get into it. But combat sports, yeah, I mean, if you're an athlete, uh, and you're turning professional, to be honest, don't give a damn about associations and names. If you see the money, if somebody's giving you a contract, if somebody's giving you an opportunity, just go. Relationships be damned as far as associations go, because if you keep winning, they will all come back to you. That is my 2 cents on this.
Yeah, yeah, definitely yes. And I think when you mentioned professional fighters, the problem here right now in India is people are not getting paid.
Yeah.
Let's say, like, taking me as an example, I have spent so much to go train, put myself in all that danger, fight, work, get a good achievement for myself.
Right.
But when I come back to India and they ask me to fight and they want to pay nothing,
Right.
and I think the fighters or any fighters who are seeing this, I think they have to have their self value and
Hmm.
not just take up any fight just for the sake of fighting. Of course, if you're an amateur fighter and when you're an amateur fighter, you definitely have to spend that money and work your ass off to get that experience.
Right.
And I have done that same thing. I cannot expect money out of it. But when fighters who have made international and have made really big name, not just me, there's so many other guys out there, and
Mhm.
when they're not being paid the right amount, no fighter should fight, because there is no one more thing is there's no insurance for a combat sport in India.
There is not. Yes. Hmm.
And anything that happens to me, I have to spend it on my own money.
Hmm.
That own money, let's say I have parents who are able to help me. There's so many athletes there who do not have that option of asking their parents. They might be doing it completely hidden away from their parents, and they
Right.
have to ask their friends, make debts, bring in work, eat. Nutrition is the main thing, training, gym fees, and our physio, our anything regarding medical. So
Hmm.
let's keep. We need about 30 to 40,000 rupees a month to sustain all of this.
Right.
How do we
So
get this back? For a professional
exactly.
fighter, definitely amateur fighters have to work their asses off. There's so many opportunities, there's so many scholarships happening right now with MMA and other combat sports, which
Hmm.
they put their hard work and get it. And that's something very different. But when these fighters turn pro and when they fight outside, and they, of course, outside, even in Thailand, we might not get paid big unless and until you're fighting a big name.
Right.
But when you're coming here and you want to fight, you're not it's like not looking after yourself, because you're not getting paid, you're not getting insured, you're not looking after yourself. Anything
Right.
that happens, we have to suffer in the end.
Right.
And
No, you're right. You're absolutely right about that. And this is something I want to put out to fighters as well. Two things. One is know your worth. That is number one. Do not fight for an amount which you feel is lower than what is owed to you, especially if you already made a name for yourself in the international circuit. That is number one. Number two is this is something which I've seen out here a lot in the West, which is not yet a culture in India. Uh, and I will not name names of the athlete because the athlete was a world champion in the amateur MMA circuit. Uh, he got a contract from Bellator, but the clause was that when Bellator comes to his country, if he is on the card, he has to guarantee that X number of tickets have to be sold.
yes, I've heard of this. I think it's more of a Western thing, right?
It is. But what this also does is it forces the athlete to build that fan base, and when you do that, suddenly the other income opportunities open up because if you have fans who are engaging with you, your merchandise start moving. Your
Yes,
Instagram, your
yes,
YouTube, your Facebook start getting more subscribers. You end up becoming a sort of a mini influencer, even if that was
hmm,
never your goal. So if you're an Indian athlete, right, and this is very important, for example, we see the Delhi Don right now who's getting a MFN title fight despite not having fought for years. But he's been
yes,
so active and people will buy tickets even if it's just to see him lose,
yes,
right?
yes,
And that's why he gets paid the money. So if you're an athlete, for good or bad, right, build that base, whether it's a set of people who hate you or a set of people who love you, so that no matter what, they come and watch your fight, even if it is
yes,
to see you lose.
yes. And I think when you say win or lose, I think especially when it comes to the Indian mentality, I think people want to just win all the time, and people will
Yeah,
only praise you when you win.
right.
And they don't. I think this is what I learned in Thailand, and I love the Thai culture, how they keep it. And I feel that what Thai people have today, their way of living and how they live, was part of ours too, long, long time ago. But we are more of a competitive mindseted people right now,
Mhm.
and we want to put down one or the other, some way or the other, and get ourselves up.
Right.
And I understand it's a survival of the fittest, but not till the way you go really cunning. You try to put down anything, even it might not be in your field, but you just want to put him down just because you were not able to achieve that. No one
Mhm.
stopped you. No one stopped anyone here. This is their dream. But people have that state of mind because it's not their problem either, because they themselves are put down like that. It's a huge cycle which has been running around in the country. And
Right.
not just here. I think there's so many other people out there also in other countries. I'm not saying no, but I think we have more of it here rather than
Mhm.
anywhere else. And when I was saying about sorry, what was I saying?
About the Indians only wanting you to or praising you if you win.
Win. Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think that a lot of people here just
Mhm.
want you to win all the time. And
Right.
I think there are so many fighters having that pressure that, oh, I have to win this fight or else I might not get sponsored.
Right.
People might see me I'm low. People might see me I'm not like I don't have the potential. People have to understand that winning and losing is part of the game, and it's about how you execute that whole fight, win or lose,
Hmm.
is important.
Right.
No, there might be a lot of fighters who are undefeated,
Mm-hmm.
because they're putting that work and everything. But let's keep Khabib and Mayweather. They
Mm-hmm.
have their potential and they're undefeated till date.
Right.
And they have their, that we cannot look up, we cannot compare us to them, because they
Right.
are a completely different person, a character. We are not them. We can idolize ourselves to become like them, but
Mm-hmm.
not become them.
Right.
And a lot of people think that, and I think the MMA circuit has this, that if you have a lot of wins, you're a credential fighter. If you
Mm-hmm.
have a equal rate of winning and losing, then you're not a credential fighter.
Yeah, which is
That's
ridiculous. You don't buy that
that is
either, but yeah.
ridiculous. Like, and I think the one thing I learned in Thailand is it's about your performance. They
Yeah. Right.
don't care about you winning or losing. You win, celebrate. You don't win, you learn about it. There are times fighters who lose 4 to 5 to 8 fights in a row, but they
Mm-hmm.
keep going.
Right.
And I think there was a fighter, a Thai fighter in RWS, who kept losing couple of fights back to back,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't give up. Neither did his uh, co-workers or his partners or his training gym gave up on him. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people give up on other people here, on their athletes, just because they're losing. That doesn't mean they're. Of course, it's an overall growth, time of growth, and winning and losing should never go inside to our head
Right.
in a long run if you really want to grow in the sport. And as a martial artist, we should never take losing as losing. It's not like you lose your life completely. It's about
Right.
winning or learning all the time. I might have won 3 fights in a row. Next time I might lose the fight. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong about it. But one thing is for sure, it's about the experience. How you put out the fight. Even I might get knocked out in the very first 30 seconds. That does not mean I am bad.
Right.
It's how the combat sport is. Either one has to win, the other one has to go down.
Absolutely.
And
Right.
this cannot be stopped. But the state of mind in a lot of people here is that you have to win all the time. It's fine. We need to have that state of mind. But it's fine to lose also, because we get to learn something out of that. We get to see our errors out of it.
Right. Great, and that's a great sentiment to share with all the athletes because I hope people remember. And for Khabib was a different beast altogether. I still don't know how he did it, and but he retired on a high. But Money Mayweather, also a different beast. But we have to remember what he did to make money as well. At one point, he bought out his contract and he was his own promoter.
Yes, yes,
So, and he that's a different level of genius, to be honest, if you ask me. So he got his wins, he got his money as a promoter as well. So
yes,
yeah, I think there's a lot to learn from Money Mayweather apart from what he did in the ring. Everything he did
definitely yes.
outside is a lesson for all of us. Yeah.
I think it's high time for me and all the fighters in India, like amateur, regardless of what your profile is. I think it's very much needed to put out your experience, your journey, and all in total. I think this is how we can build a profile for ourselves and
Mhm.
showcase the world that we're not just guys who just say we fight,
Right.
because we have the blood of warriors within us. But
Mhm.
we are, but the only problem is the knowledge, the techniques, the information is not been passed down the right way. Why do you think there's so many fighters still in India, like training so hard but not able to reach where they want to reach? And I think it comes down to knowledge. I think right now we have to give it to the outside world, because they have grown really, really strong. It's not just I'm saying, it's the results which have come out in Olympics, Asian
Mhm.
Games. Let's keep IFMA, which is the Muay Thai Association for the world. And
Mhm.
you have so many fighters there and fighting. Let's keep Indian fighters who have worked hard months and months and go attend a world championship, but
Mhm.
won't be able to cross a single fight, because we need knowledge, which can improve us not just physically but also with our IQ.
Right.
And this is what we need it right now in our country. And I think there's so many fighters, especially in MFN. When you saw MFN in the initials,
Mm.
it was not at the level of how it was now. It
Right.
was completely brawling fights. There were so many people based from karate. They would try to do karate style fights there, and
Right.
very good grapplers.
Mm.
There is an n amount of knowledge of grappling, BJJ, wrestling, but
Right.
no knowledge on striking.
Okay.
And if you
Right.
see, I think it was Sumit Kare versus one of, I think it was an SFL fight where he shows something. This his opponent moves in with a long hook. He
Mm.
head kicks, Sumit Kare head kicks and drops the guy. And you could see the quality of the striking level and the IQ what they had because they did not know what to do.
Right.
But now when you see MFN,
Mm.
striking, grappling, everything has changed because so many people went outside and trained,
Right.
got to train with elite fighters, elite experienced coaches. They were
Mm.
able to bring back the technical and technicality of that experience and bring it into the ring. And it changed. It changed. It completely changed. I think right after, even when it came to Anshul Jubli's fight and the UFC pass, when he fought the two fights to get the contract, Anshul Jubli is a wrestling and a BJJ fighter, but
Surya, are you there?
yep,
Yeah, I got you back. Yeah. So you're talking about Anshul Jubilee. Yeah.
yes, Anshul Jubli, like when you take his MFN fights also,
Mm.
there's so many things he had to improve. He was really good. He's been undefeated till date now.
Right.
But once he went to Soma, when he started working there with the strikers and everything, he did not go for a takedown in those two fights. He
Yeah.
striked the living hell out of his opponents. And
Mm-hmm.
I think this is what Indian MMA needs right now. We need strikers. There are so many grapplers out there. And it's
Right.
good. I'm not saying it's bad because Kirby bought that trend of grappling and everyone stuck to him saying, I need a grapple. But before
Mm-hmm.
Khabib, I think Conor McGregor was the biggest influence to bring in the MMA mindset into the like so many other athletes out there.
Right.
But we were missing the main thing, which was striking. And I think right now striking is growing.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting better and better each fight. I think the next fight I'm really looking forward to see is Shamanand versus yo, what's his name?
Yeah.
Shit.
Sh- With us only, right? I forgot. Even I forgot.
Yeah, yeah. But Shamanand's
Yeah.
fights, you
Yeah.
see, his striking is so clean, and he strike. His first fight was a what's his name? Oh, yo, Budwa, Sanjit Budwa.
Yeah. Yeah.
He got knocked out, like not knocked out TKO because he got a body shot. But after that fight,
Mm-hmm.
so Shamanand has been hungry, and especially I train at ICSA, and
Mm-hmm.
I also train with them, and I see how the training goes on. I also do a bit of MMA training too. I don't do a full MMA, but I also kind of got to learn the MMA aspects of the game there at ICSA. And Jitesh
Right.
sir, uh, dedicated coach, and his vision is huge, and
Mm-hmm.
he's worked so much. Shamanand and Clinton has been undefeated, and he's
Right.
going to be fighting Govind in the next card
Medallion.
next month.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think it's a tight packed action MFN card, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm loving to see how the Shaman and Sanjit Budwar fight is going to happen because it's going to be a firework fight, and even Clinton versus Govind, I think
Go.
it's going to be a hell of a fight because it's because Sanjit Budwar has been fighting international guys also, and
Mm-hmm.
Shamanand proving his ground that he can smash anyone coming in front of him. I think it's going to
Right.
be a huge thing. But I think this is the part. Sorry,
That's okay.
apartment alarms going off. So I think this is where striking is taking place, and I see striking is growing in a next level, and I love to see striking more, and especially Thai boxing in India. I
Hmm.
think it'll be in our hands to make pathway to it, and there's so many guys out there who are really working hard in Thai boxing, and I think we'll be the ones who get Thai boxing as a huge thing in India, and I hope that I and other Indian Muay Thai fighters fighting in Thailand right now can
Hmm.
branch out and cling on to the international circuit out there and bring in some real big guns into the international circuit.
All right. Great. And I didn't realize we went well over an hour because this conversation was so engaging. But yeah, we'll have to wind it up here. But thanks a lot,
Yes,
Surya, for joining. This was a wonderful conversation. And
yes,
yeah,
definitely,
and I'll talk to you offline about how we can do more for Muay Thai in India later.
definitely yes. It was a nice
Oh,
show. Thank you so much for having me, and
thanks, Surya.
we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone for joining us. I'll catch you guys again next week.
See you. Bye bye.